another episode of the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast. My name is Hannah, and this is a podcast all about crochet, a little bit of knitting, sometimes sewing, and generally living the yarniest life possible in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I live. If you are looking for me on the interwebs, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook as the Cozy Cottage Crochet. On Ravelry, I am just the Cozy Cottage, but there is a Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast group on Ravelry where you can join in on our cows and see what's going on. There's a finished object party, there's a work in progress thread. We have a great time, and there are links to all of this directly down below. I am also a crochet designer, and I have patterns available on Ravelry, which you will find a link to down below if you'd like to check those out. I have so much to tell you guys today. So I know that it has only been a week since I uploaded the last episode. However, the last episode did not have any yarn content because I was on a plane when it was uploaded. It was a Q&A episode, and I just want to say if you have questions about how to block acrylic yarn, please go watch the last episode. That is the first thing I talk about. I would say that's the question I get the most out of anything that people ask me. So please do go check out that episode if you'd like to know how to block acrylic yarn properly, or you just want to hear the answers to some questions that you guys have asked me. So, oh yes, before we start, I want to say, if you need to contact me, please send me an email to thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. That is the best way to get a hold of me. If you send me an Instagram message, I will probably get it, but there's no guarantee. And if you send me a Facebook message, I've been having some issues with that. So please send me an email if you have any questions or inquiries about the podcast itself. Okay. I feel a little rusty. I know it's only been 3 weeks, and I've uploaded a ton of videos since then, but they were all vlogging, so I was just like holding the camera and talking to it, and now I'm trying to do a proper podcast, and I don't know what I'm doing. So hello to everyone who is watching, to any new viewers. Thanks for stopping by. To any returning viewers, I am so happy you are here. I have lots of crochet and lots of yarn to show you. I do just want to address one thing quickly. I've gotten quite a few messages, emails, etc. regarding Hurricane Michael, requesting to know if I was okay. I'm completely fine. It went right by us. We actually got like almost nothing from the hurricane. It was a little windy one day, and it rained for like 20 hours on and off, but that's it. Now, Hurricane Michael is kind of insane because I've been living here for 21 years in Florida, and I do not ever remember a hurricane that formed that quickly. Like on Sunday, so we got home from the UK Saturday night at 8 p.m. I didn't even know there was a hurricane. On Sunday, I was like, oh, I guess there's a tropical storm somewhere. And then by Tuesday, it was like a category 4 hurricane. And when it hit the panhandle in Florida, it was 2 miles per hour away from being a category 5. So if Florida is like shaped like this, actually like this, yeah, so this is where the hurricane hit up here. So this is the Gulf of Mexico, so it went like this and then straight over into Georgia and the Carolinas. I live like down here in the middle. This is where Tampa, St. Petersburg is. So when it was out here, it's not a very big storm, even though it was very powerful. So it didn't really affect us that much, which is I'm really grateful for, but of course, you know, it caused massive problems up in the panhandle. It like pretty much wiped out entire neighborhoods with the wind. Like it flattened buildings. The storm surge was like 14 feet high, which is taller than a house. Well, it's at least up to the roof of a house. So there were pictures of houses being completely submerged, water up to the palm trees. So there's just a lot. There's like over 1 million people without power, I believe, in North Florida and Georgia and South Carolina. And of course, South Carolina and North Carolina just dealt with a different hurricane, so it wasn't great for them to have to experience this as well. So definitely keep everyone in your thoughts and prayers, but me and my family, we are fine. We didn't have any damage. It just rained a little bit, and I am really grateful for that. Also, we have a cow running, and some of you have already posted so many finished objects, and I'm so excited. I haven't really been in there in like the last week and a half because we've been traveling, but that is on my to-do list to go in to the finished object thread and see what everyone has been posting. It is the Nerd Along, so use the hashtag NerdAlong on Instagram. We have tons of prizes, which I didn't bring because I have all kinds of things to show you. I have one prize that I'll show you later in this episode. If you are nerdy about anything, you can post it, and it just has to be fiber related. So knitting, crochet, spinning, weaving, embroidery, all of that's fine. Just like no sewing. So it needs to be yarn, fiber, thread, fiber related. You can post it. So if you're nerdy about the Avengers or Star Wars or Harry Potter and that's the theme of your project, awesome. If you're nerdy about math, that's the theme of your project, awesome. If you love Christmas more than anything in the world, as long as you can justify how you are nerdy about this thing, you can enter it into the finished object set. You can do multiple entries if you would like to. And if you are making my falling ivy shawl pattern that I talked about a few episodes back, you will get to post that entry twice in the finished objects thread. And if you are making anything out of Sheep Happens yarn, which I've talked extensively about as well, you will get to post that finished object twice. And then I will have a special prize drawn just from the people who made something out of her yarn. So if you make the falling ivy shawl in Sheep Happens yarn for the Nerd-Along, you could potentially have 3 entries for that item for the Nerd-Along. I guess I have an entry. I'm gonna have to find a way to justify what I've made. So there's honestly not a ton of crochet. I mean, I have crocheted a ton, but I only have 3 projects to share with you. And I'm gonna start with the smallest first, and then, so I have 2 finished objects, 1 small, 1 gigantic. And then I have an object that I wish was finished, but it's just not. It's still probably 4 or 5 hours away from being finished, and you'll see why. So first, I finished this last night. This is a knit hat. As you will know, if you've been around for the last few months, I need to make like 10 of these by January. So this is number 2, and actually I made this in the wrong size needle. Well, it's not necessarily the wrong size, it's just not the size I wanted to use. I made the first hat with a 4.5 millimeter knitting needles, and this I made in a 5. And when it was done, I was like, man, this used more yarn and it seems gigantic. So this is definitely gonna have to go to a guy. But it's got, there's not really a pattern. If you want a pattern for a hat similar to this, you just need to go to the Pearl Soho website and Google or search on their website the classic cuffed hat. This pattern will come up. And basically, it's not really a pattern, it's more of a recipe. So I just cast on 88 stitches. I did a 2x2 rib for 4 inches. I did stockinette, which is just knitting around and around and around until I got total 9 3/4 inches from the brim. And then I did the decreases that they recommend. And I totally made a mistake right here. I don't even know if you can see this. You can't really. I made a mistake on one of the decreases, but you can't tell because I'm using black yarn, which is part of the reason I use black yarn. But you can, this hat is, like, it looks fine, but there's a lot of room here, and it's pretty big. This would be a much too big hat for me. So this is definitely gonna have to go to a guy. Although there's guys and girls in what I'm making these for, so that's fine. So this is number 2. I still have to make at least 6 more, possibly 8, just depends. I'm probably gonna have to end up making 10 total. I'll be like the best at knitting hats by the time this is done. Why do I do this to myself? I don't know, but it is kind of nice. I don't mind the ribbing part so much, and I don't mind knitting stockinette in the round. When I get to the decreases, I instantly am like, why am I doing this? This was a terrible idea. I hate decreases. I do the magic loop. I never want to look at knitting ever again because they take me like an hour or 2 to do all the decreases. Now, by the end of this, I should be much better at them, so maybe they won't take that long. But yeah, when I'm just doing stockinette in the round, I'm like, this is nice. I could do this for days. And the minute I have to do a decrease, I'm like, everything is terrible. I don't want to do this anymore. Anyways, does anyone else feel that way? Is it just me? Okay, let's move on to the gigantic finished object that I have. It was, I should say, living in this cute little Christmas tote bag. You can see that they're little Christmas ornaments that Charlie of the Love Charlie Crochet podcast sent to me last year. And it is the Reminisce sweater by Heidi May, who is the Velvet Acorn. So, I'm sorry, that's kind of glary. That is what the pattern looks like. This is a paid for pattern. I believe it was $5 or $5.50 on Ravelry, which I don't find too much for a sweater pattern. The yarn that I was using, so this pattern calls for a DK weight yarn. I didn't really have any of that, and I had a bunch of this. This is Loops and Threads Wool-Like, which is a acrylic nylon blend. So you get 85% acrylic, 15% nylon, and for one of these balls you get 678 yards. And these are like $3, regular price. So I had a bunch of this blue in my stash, which this blue is called Teal Lake. And then I had a little bit of gray, and I got more gray because a lovely viewer of this podcast named Chris sent me some Wool-Like in gray. So this is the colorway Charcoal. And what I did is I held them double to make a DK weight yarn. Now, it's a little bit lighter than a DK weight yarn still would be because this is a light fingering, which means I just had to go, I had more rows before I got to the requirements for the pattern, but that's okay. Are you ready to see this? I'm so excited. I can't believe this is done. I really wanted it to be done before we went away on our trip, but I didn't. I had one sleeve left. It's always Sleeve Island, isn't it? But the whole thing is done. It is washed. I didn't block it because I don't want it to be any bigger than it already is. I just washed it, threw it in the dryer because it's acrylic. You can do that. All the ends are woven in, and I have sewn buttons on. This, I'm gonna have to scoot back. It's so big. This is the sweater. So as you can see, well, I don't know, maybe you can't see. This is a top-down raglan. So you start up at the top, you increase all around, then you split for the sleeves. And this is one sleeve. Then you go straight down the body, all the way down to this ribbing at the bottom, which this is like 5 inches of ribbing. It took me forever. So you go all the way down the body, then you do the sleeves, and then you do the like the border, the buttonhole band, and then you're done, pretty much. So a couple of things, I pretty much followed the pattern, except that on the ribbing for the sleeves and for the bottom of the sweater, she has you do a rib that's like front post, back post, double crochet. So you would have these ridges on one side and it would look identical on the other side. There would be ridges. I didn't really like that, so I actually just did regular stitches in between so that it's smooth on the inside. I did that on another one of her patterns and I love it. So I didn't want the ribbing to come in anymore. So this is the back side of the ribbing. You can see how it's smooth, and this is the front. Holding the yarn double was fine. It was super easy. I didn't have any problems with that. The only thing I will say, because I didn't quite get a DK weight, is that when you're doing the yoke, you go down to a certain thing and then you have with increases, and then you just keep going until you get to the length you need to split for the sleeves. It should have probably only been like this much, and it wouldn't have this little pucker right here. I don't think you can tell when I'm actually wearing it, but when you lay it flat, you can see that there's a pucker, because this is where I had to go this many rows, not increasing. So maybe I could have shortened that. I don't know. It's super soft. It's heavy because of course it's crocheted and made of yarn, but it's not that heavy, and it is really long, and that's what I wanted it. I wanted to have a cardigan that you could wear like with leggings, and it would cover the caboose, and it completely does. It goes down past my butt. Now, let's talk about the buttons. I could not find buttons that I liked for this. I'm most likely never going to wear it buttoned, except maybe 1 or 2 in the middle, because it is so long. So it has plenty of room in the bust area, has plenty of room across my hips, but because it goes past my caboose, there is no way it would look okay buttoned all the way down, because it would stretch out very awkwardly. Sweaters are not made to go around your butt. It's especially if they're fitted. So I actually have less buttons on here than is called for, and I messed with the buttonhole count. So she has you do a buttonhole every 5 stitches, and I was like, that is going to be an insane amount of buttons. So I went one every 6 stitches, and then down at the bottom it's a little bit more than that. And when I went to Joann's, I could not find buttons that I liked, and so eventually I found these little wooden, and they're kind of blowing out. Yeah, that's a better. It's a dark like red, like a pinky red color. However, these are wooden, and they came in a little baggie of like 20 of various colors. So there's only 5 of these in each bag. I have 12 buttonholes. 12 buttonholes. That is crazy, don't you think? So I bought all 3 bags that Joann's had of these wooden buttons. And I was like, that's fine, I'll just get 5 out of each one. Buttons probably cost as much as the yarn for this sweater. But, so the first 2 were fine. I pulled out the 5 that were all the same. And then the last package I only needed 2 buttons from. Did they have any in this color? No. No. So I am, as you can see, I am missing 2 buttons down here at the bottom. Now, I don't know that it needs it because it's never going to be buttoned down there. However, it bothers me that there's not 2 buttons and there's buttonholes. Like, is anyone ever going to see that? No. But I just wish that there were buttons all the way down. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll find them someday at another Joann's. I'm trying to unbutton it right now so that I can show you what it looks like on. Let me take this off. Oh, this, by the way, what I am wearing is my Key Largo lace wrap. This is, you can wear it as a wrap, you can wear it as a scarf. I generally, depends on what I'm wearing. So I'm wearing like shorts and a t-shirt, so I'm just wearing it as a scarf. But if you're wearing a fancy dress or something, you could totally wear it as a wrap. And it has these little flower motif. So this is a pattern that is made perfectly for Florida because it's made in bamboo. Okay, let me put this on for you. Oh, do you know what the best feature of this thing is? Watch this magic. Thumb hole. This has a thumb hole and it fits perfectly. So, this is what it looks like. I'm gonna stand up, but you're not gonna be able to see the whole thing because it's so long. So, it goes all the way down. Ooh. As you can see, maybe you can see, this is the bottom of my shorts. And I'm wearing like reasonable length shorts. They're not that short. And this goes down to the edge. Ooh. I'm sorry, I just almost fell over. So it's super comfy. It's got a little room here, like maybe I could have made the yoke a little bit smaller, but I'm totally okay with that. Like I said, I don't really think you can tell that it has a pucker or anything. It just looks like drapey when I'm wearing it like this. So this is what it looks like from the front. Like I said, it'll button just fine through here, but I would never be able to button it down here. That would be ridiculous. So we'll see. I'm gonna wear this right now. It may get too hot in here because even though it is October, it is still Florida. We're getting cooler weather, and do you know what that means? 85 degrees instead of 90. So I love it. I'm so happy with this. It came out exactly how I wanted it to, except for the 2 buttons. I used up a lot of stash yarn. So I don't know, this used a lot of yarn, especially because I was holding it double. But I used up like 3 scrap balls that just had some in it, and then I used maybe 2 full balls of each color. And then this yarn, this is all I have left. I have like half a gray ball, maybe 2/3. I would say 3/4 of this blue, like I just broke into this for the last sleeve. And then I have this little bit of gray. That's it. Like I've pretty much used up all of my wool-like stash in this color. And I could not be more thrilled with the result. I'm gonna wear this all the time. If it would just cool down slightly, I could wear this even more. And if you don't want it, like I am always pulling my sleeves like this. So I love that it does this, but if I don't want it to, I can also just roll up the sleeve cuff and have it like that, which, let's be real, I'm never gonna do that. So I recommend the pattern. It's very easy to follow. I did not do the sleeves as she said. This is the second sweater pattern I have made of hers, and the first time I just worked my sleeves. She has you work the sleeves off the body, but not seam, like you seam them at the end. So you do it in turned rows. I did it in turned rounds until I got to the cuff, and then I worked this cuff flat and then seamed up just the part I wanted for my thumb hole. So it's a well-written pattern. I think it's worth the money. I like it. If you have her, this is the Envision, no, this is the Reminisce sweater. If you have her Envision cardigan, it's pretty much the same thing, except that this one is much longer and it has a different ribbing although I chose not to do the ribbing differently, but it's pretty much the same sweater pattern. So if you're gonna buy only one, I would actually recommend buying the Reminisce sweater, because you can always make the measurement shorter, and that would be easier than making the measurements longer. You can just go until you want it to stop. So this is my gigantic finished object. I was completely monogamous on this until we left for the UK. I didn't work on anything else. And this brings me to my work in progress segment that only has one work in progress. When we went to the UK, I took one whip with me. You guys, do you have any idea how painful it was to only take one work in progress? I am not a person who is a monogamous crocheter. However, my whips are out of control and I'm trying to get some of them off the needles, off the hook. So this is a giant one. The next one is giant as well. And once it's done, I'm gonna be so excited. It is living in my amazing Halloween bag that Barb made me years ago. Well, I say years. It was at the start of this podcast, which was only a year and a half ago, so that's not really years. It is my Blurred Lines sweater, which is by Deanne of Addie Day Designs. I love this pattern. It has been in hibernation for a few months over the summer. I wasn't really working on sweaters like much at all, other than the one that was a total disaster. This is a fingering weight sweater. So let me just tell you, it is no joke to make a fingering weight sweater. This is the first one I have ever done. I found her pattern completely, like, I have had zero questions the whole time. The only time I was a little iffy was on doing short rows on the back of the neck, but I just trusted the pattern and it worked out perfectly. And surprise, I am making it in the same yarn. It's almost like I've been working on the same project, although this gray is a little lighter. So this is the colorway Cool Gray, and the gray in this sweater is charcoal, but this is the same Teal Lake blue. This whole sweater can be done in 4 balls of wool-like yarn, and I think I'm gonna have a lot left because all I have left is a sleeve to do. And this one is not attached. This one is attached to the sweater. Do you know what's in this project bag? A snack. Oh, I'm so excited. I put this in here. This is from the hotel in Edinburgh. And I put it in my project bag so I could have a snack on the plane home. And I didn't eat it. Now I have a snack. That makes me very happy. You guys, look at this. It's an almost finished sweater. I really, really wanted this to be done before the podcast today, but I just couldn't do it because the sleeves take so long. So I still have on this sleeve, I just started the decreases right here where the stitch marker is. And this, if you can see it, this little moon, that was a gift from Claudia of the Crochet Luna podcast a while back. So I just started the decreases. I still have to do 8 more decrease sections and then 15 rows of straight half double crochet and then the cuff. So it's at least going to be another 3 hours, I think, because this is fingering weight yarn and it takes so long. So where I was the last time you saw this, stitch markers on the back, it was somewhere around where this guy is right here. I don't know if you can even see that. I know it was right after the waist decreases, which are right here. So maybe it was up a few rows more and before I started the striping. So I did all of the striping and the bottom ribbing while we were gone, and an entire sleeve with the striping and the cuff. Although I have not seamed up this cuff yet because this cuff is also going to have an armhole. An armhole. Of course the sweater is going to have an armhole. It's going to have a thumb hole. So I finished this cuff yesterday actually, and I haven't sewn it up yet. So which is why this tail is probably insanely way too long. Hanging off. So I know that a couple people have said that they couldn't place the thumb hole correctly the first time, and so they ended up ripping the cuff out. I didn't place the thumb hole correctly either. However, I started at the side of the where my round started. I went all the way around to like here-ish. Yeah, I don't know what happened. But basically, this was my beginning was like somewhere over here. And I decided that was not in the right spot. So instead of ripping out the entire cuff, I just started again from over here and worked this way. So I didn't rip it out at all. So I'm planning on doing it on the next sleeve as well. Oh, I can't. It's too hot. I can't wear it. I can't wear it right now. I gotta put this back on, this bamboo, my bamboo shawl. That is much cooler. So one whole sleeve, you guys. One whole body. And a little baby sleeve, which I only barely started on. So I have done this since we've been home. I am going to block it only slightly. It fits really well. Ooh, I should totally try it on for you, shouldn't I? Sorry about all the wild, I don't know. Why am I apologizing? It's fine. I'm trying it on. So it fits super well. Although I would like about an inch more in the waist, which is why I will be blocking it. So you can see it goes down to here. This is where my hip, like my pants pockets are. So it goes down to a good length. I would like just like an extra inch or maybe even 2 of ease right here. But everywhere else, it fits perfectly. I did actually have to shorten because I have a really long torso, so I added like 3 or 4 rows, or rounds I should say, in the sweater body. And then I assumed that the sleeve length would be fine, but it was actually a little too long and I had to rip out like a good inch and a half, and it's still like, this is supposed to be mid-knuckle, like maybe here. And that's almost to the end of my fingers, which I don't mind. I like having that. But apparently my arms are not proportional to my torso. I don't know. So as you can see, this will be just fine for a thumb hole. I love this sweater, you guys. I love it. And of course my bare arm. So sad. And I'm making the medium. And it fits great. And if this were being made out of merino, when you block it, it would grow, I'm sure, even more than I would need it to. This is acrylic, so it's just gonna be the size. It's not really gonna grow. It's not heavy enough because this is only 2.5 balls of yarn probably total of the wool-like, which is a thin yarn. But I can just lightly steam the bottom here because it's this wide right now. I just want it to be like this wide. That's not much. I can easily get that out. Like I could stretch this way further than that. I just don't want to. So it fits beautifully. I love the sweater. I love the pattern. I'm hoping that it'll be cold enough on Christmas to wear this. Like I want this to be my Christmas sweater. I know it's blue, okay. Who cares? We don't subscribe to Christmas norms around here. So this is the only project I took to the UK. The only one, and it got all the love. And I'm really glad that I only took this one project because I wouldn't be as far as I am, and I am really, really gonna make an effort to have this finished by the next time I podcast in 2 weeks' time, because that will mean that I have completed, okay, now I have to count. My goal was to have 6 sweater/cardigans done in the year 2018. So the first one I made was the green teal habitat cardigan. Then I made which is by Make and Do Crew. Then I made the black everyday cardigan by Sorella. Then I made a gray Summer Diamonds kimono cardigan by One Dog Wolf. Then I made the Envision cardigan by Heidi May. So that's 4. Then I made the Disaster V-necked cardigan, which has been donated. That's what I decided to do with it, by Yarnspiration. So I'm not counting that one because I can't wear it, although technically that would be number 5. I don't really want to count it because I no longer have it and it does not make me happy. It didn't fit. It was a terrible pattern. So number 5 is actually going to be this one, which is the Reminisce sweater, which I'm sitting on so you can't see it. And then number 6 is going to be my blurred line sweater. So I will have met my goal, plus one that didn't work out, as soon as this is finished. And then maybe, because it's only October, I might have time to get one more done by the end of the year. I don't know. I have so many things. I do need to get back to my red sweater, the one that I completely pulled out. So painful. Okay, so that's all the crochet that I have done. However, I want to talk about my trip, and I have so many Yarny acquisitions to show you. So many. And basically what I'm going to do is go in chronological order of when I got it, and I'm going to talk about my trip while that happened. So I did vlog every day of the trip, which I'm not very much a vlogger, so I apologize if there's any shaky cameras, weird camera angles, etc. But a lot of you seem to really enjoy that. So if you've seen the vlogs, then you've already seen most of this stuff, but I'm going to show it hopefully in a better manner than me like holding the camera and trying to hold something in front of my face. Ridiculous. All of the vlogs, I don't think the longest one is like 12 and a half minutes. So they're not long. And if you are interested in the trip, in anything that we ate, because we ate a lot, although not this adorable snack, which I will have as soon as I am done with this podcast, it was just the most fabulous thing that we've ever done. Now, my husband and I went to Italy several years ago, and that was like, to me, it was like a once in a lifetime kind of a thing, right? Like you go, you eat till you can't breathe, and you see all the sights. And so when we went on this trip, it's like a different experience because we're getting to do something that I thought maybe like Italy would be the only thing we ever got to do, but we got to do this because we paid for it all in advance, and we got some cheap tickets, etc. And it's just created like this desire to travel like even more to faraway places. Like we're already thinking like, where could we go next? Like I really want to go to Switzerland, and he really wants to go to Germany. So maybe sometime in another 3 or 4 years we'll have another trip, and who knows? But it was amazing. So before I left, I did get a package in the mail with a prize in it for the Nerd Along. And this package is from Lori, who is a lovely viewer of this podcast. And she contacted me and said she wanted to send a prize. So she sent 3 balls of Red Heart with Love metallic. Oh yes, you can see how sparkly that is. I actually really like this yarn. It's very soft, as Red Heart with Love is, and I don't find the metallic as splitty as some other yarns that have sparkle in them. Also, there is a pom-pom, so soft, and then she included a little rainbow stitch marker and this most adorable little cloud. So cute. The rainbow might stay with me. She said I could have it if I wanted it. I do. It's so pretty, but I also want to give you guys as many prizes as possible. So thank you so much, Lori, for donating that to the Nerd Along. If you are a maker, or you just have some things you want to destash and you want to send a prize to this podcast to give away for a cow, let me know. You can shoot me an email. I'd be happy to spread the yarn love to other people. Okay, let's get into the yarn that I bought while we were there. So we flew to London. From Tampa, the Tampa airport, we flew to Miami, and then we had a straight flight overnight, which was ridiculous, from Miami to London Heathrow. And then the flight was fine. It wasn't bumpy or anything. I really don't like overnight flights. Like you can't sleep. I dozed off a little bit just because my body was like basically shutting down. I don't think my husband slept at all. And I don't like those flights. I don't love flying. Like I'm not so afraid of flying. I've just done it so much because I had to travel for my job a while back that it's like not exciting at all. It's just such a process. But we got to London. We took a taxi from the airport, although we probably should have taken like a bus or something. But that was fine. We had a really nice taxi driver. We stayed at the super cute little hotel in Westminster, like literally 2 blocks from Westminster Abbey, called the Sanctuary House, and it had its own little pub, which was the most adorable thing ever. They had amazing food. Their food was so amazing that we actually ate there like 3 times. And there's so many places to eat in London. So we ate there for breakfast every day because it was included, but then we ate there for dinner twice. In London, we got to see, so one day we took a tour, and the second day we just explored by ourselves. So the day that we took a tour, We took a bus tour for the first half of the day, which you like hop on. We saw Buckingham Palace. We saw Westminster Abbey, which of course we already saw. We drove all around London. Like, I got to see the Twinings Tea House, which is the oldest tea house. Super cute. We saw some places where Harry Potter was filmed. We got tons of history. Then we went to the Tower of London and had several hours there. We had like a tour for half of it, and then we walked around by ourselves for a little while. And then we switched from the bus to a boat and got to go up the Thames, go under London Bridge, go up and down for like another 45 minutes, which was awesome. And then the next day we walked all around by ourselves. And I made it to Loop. This was my goal. We walked to Loop. Oh, I'm so happy that I got to go to Loop. And they gave me this canvas bag for free, which is awesome. So I know everyone is like, oh, Loop's so expensive. I didn't honestly think it was that much more expensive than a regular yarn store. Like, it depends on what kind of yarn store you're talking about. If you're talking about one that sells acrylic yarn, yeah, it was pricey. But if you're talking about a yarn store that mostly sells hand-dyed and specialty fibers and things like that, I thought their prices were pretty normal. I got a few things. Now, everything I bought in London is in this bag, so if I pull something out that didn't come from Loop, oh well. This I wasn't planning on buying, but they had it, and I have the Shawl Project 4th book. This is book number 2, and let me show you. They have one in particular that I really want to make. It's this one. It's the cover image. That's crochet. It's so pretty. Oh, so pretty. So I didn't want to buy, they actually had Shawl Project number 3, I think, and number 1 as well, but I really only wanted number 2. And it's hard to get paper copies of these in the United States, so I'm really excited that I got to come home with this. I also bought, if I can find it, a lotion bar, which is a lavender lotion bar. This is what it looks like. I haven't used it, so it's in pristine condition. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. So good. And then I bought 2 things of yarn from Loop. So the first one is a German yarn. I think it's Schopel. Forgive me if I mispronounce things. I do not know what the colorway is. But this is the yarn. It is a sock yarn. You would not want to put this on your neck, I don't think. That's pretty scratchy. But this will definitely be a pair of socks. I loved it. And it was like, let's see what the content is, if it'll tell me. It's 75% virgin wool and 25% nylon. So 75-25. That means it's not, actually it does say you can put it in the washer, just not the dryer. So I guess it is superwash. I cannot wait to knit this up and do a pair of socks. I think it's amazing. And it was $12. So totally worth it. The other thing I bought is this amazing pink. This is by a local company, so it says hand-dyed in Britain. It is called the Uncommon Thread. This is their Lush Worsted Base, which is 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, and you get 210 meters to 100 grams. It is the colorway Les Fleurs, and this is going to be a hat. Hopefully a hat design. We'll see. I really, really, really love this so much. I couldn't leave it there. So that is what I bought from Loop. There's a couple of other things that I acquired while I was in London. Number 1, apparently I swiped a tea from the hotel. I found a Primark, which several people recommended, and that place was insane. There was like 1 billion people in there, but I got 2 of these Harry Potter bags that say, I solemnly swear that I am up to no good. Property of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. I got 2 of these. These were only £3 each. And one of them is for me. And one of them is for you guys as a prize for the Nerd Along. So I got 2. And then I also got at Primark these London pins. Oh, it's kind of glary. Can somebody tell me what this is? Like, what is that? A train? Locomotive? Tower? I don't know what this one is. This one says London, this one says London. This is like a cute little car, and then there's the tower, or the bell tower, as part of Parliament. So that's when I got at Primark. We did make it to a John Lewis as well, but we didn't really have time to stick around in there. That store is incredible. Like, we don't have stores like that in America. I would have loved to buy tons of yarn there, but we didn't really have time to look around. But I did go to the Harry Potter store at platform 9 3/4 at King's Cross as well. And we went there twice. Once we just kind of looked, and then the second time is when I bought. Only a tiny thing. This is the one thing I wanted more than anything else. It's Hedwig. And look at her. This is gonna be a stitch marker. I'm gonna take her off of this bead and make a stitch, add a clasp and make a stitch marker out of her. And the other thing I got was a Hufflepuff patch. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this patch, but it's gonna go on something because I am a Hufflepuff, obviously. We also got some jelly slugs, which were super gross. We did not like them. Just watch the vlogs, you'll see. So that is everything that I got from London. Once we were done in London, we took a train from King's Cross to Edinburgh. And then our hotel, so the train station in Edinburgh is only like, I don't know, half a mile at the most from our hotel. We stayed right on the Royal Mile in a little, like a super trendy hotel called Ibis, I believe. They had amazing breakfast as well. But it was like a super tiny room, and it was almost like being in a cruise ship. Like the bathroom was so small, and they didn't have a phone in the room. It was really strange, but it was very nice, and we really, really enjoyed our time there as well. In Edinburgh, I think I bought the most stuff, and we loved Edinburgh. So we really only had a full day and like a half a day in Edinburgh, because then the next day we were leaving. So when we got there, it was like noon. So we walked all around. We walked up and down the Royal Mile. We poked into as many places as we possibly could. And then the following day, we had a tour, but it was of the Edinburgh Castle, which was so fabulous, at 2 p.m. So until 2, we walked around. We went to yarn stores, and you can see all of this on the vlog as well. I don't want to repeat myself too much. And then we did something very exciting that night. But let me show you. I bought one purchase that I was not planning on making when I was in Edinburgh. Was this. I have been looking for a new purse for quite some time, and I have really, really wanted a backpack purse, but not one that was too big, because I am so tired of carrying a purse around and just having it fall off my shoulder and like being out of balance. So I really wanted a backpack, but I couldn't find one that was the right size, that I liked. I really wanted one that had removable straps, which I couldn't find. I mean, I found one at the mall before we left. It was $400. No way, get out of here. So when I saw this one, this is made by a local company in Edinburgh, who apparently just is like a startup. And the store that we were in said that she only received 3 of these, and this is the only one they had left. So it's pink. You can see the Harris Tweed label. So this is Harris Tweed, and I love it. It was kind of pricey, but I've been using it ever since then, since I bought it, and it's fabulous. I just love it so much. So I bought that. Then I hit up 2 yarn stores in Edinburgh. One, of course, I'm not going to remember the name of them either. I know the second yarn store was Bee Inspired Fibers. Oh, this one was Pins and Needles, because it was a sewing and yarn store, and they pretty much only had fabric and acrylic yarn. She didn't have any kind of fancy yarn, which actually I was really happy about, because she had this Stylecraft Special DK, and this is the colorway Atlantis. She had 6 of these, so I bought all 6, which is a sweater's quantity. I'm hoping I can squeeze a long sleeve sweater out of this. I don't know. Really, I would be more comfortable with having 7 of these, but she only had 6. So I don't know, does anyone have 1 ball of Stylecraft Special DK Atlantis? Hopefully I can get a sweater, a whole entire sweater out of 6 of these balls. And then I also got this cute little pin from her. It says, "You love wool." So that was a very cute shop. She was very helpful, very chatty. And that's my sweaters quantity, which, by the way, was £2.20 for one ball. So I got a whole sweaters quantity of yarn for like 15 bucks. The second shop we went to was Bee Inspired Fiber, and I bought, sorry for the rustling, it's all in a bag, something that I'm going to start on tomorrow. So I'm really excited to show you this today so I can start using this. Sock yarn in a solid color. I do not own any, apparently, no solid color sock yarn, and I am joining in the crochet sock along, which has already started. It started on September 29th, I believe. And I have, as a general rule, been extremely skeptical of crochet socks. I can't imagine that I'm going to like it. I don't know. We'll see. However, the whole point of this crochet along, which is hosted by, let's see, Claudia of the Crochet Luna podcast and Catherine from Crafternoon Treats, and there's a blog hop, so there's been plenty of blog posts. Caroline from the Mind and Muse podcast wrote a really good one on crochet versus knit socks. Tian from Addie Day Designs wrote a podcast on the a blog post on the anatomy of a crochet sock. Faye from the Crochet Circle podcast wrote a very extensive post on what yarn you should use and etc. So Tamara from Crafty Escapism has written a post. It's all in the Crochet Luna podcast group and the Crafternoon Treats podcast group and the Crochet Circle podcast group. All the details will be in there. So I am going to make a pair of crochet socks because I keep saying that I don't think that they'll work, but I haven't actually ever tried it, which is not fair, right? So I am going to make a pattern from somebody that I trust, which is Deanne from Addie Day Designs. She is the designer behind the Blurred Lines sweater. I love her patterns. She's super detailed. She's basically the best. Hi, Deanne. So I trust her that if anyone can make a crochet sock pattern that is worth making, she will. So I'm going to make her baseline socks. And what you needed, it was 2 contrast colors. And I didn't own any. I don't own any, I guess, solid colors. So this is what I got. This is Lang. In my vlog, I called it Jawool, which someone commented and said that it should be pronounced Yavul. I don't know. Sorry if that's still wrong. This is 75/25 nylon, merino nylon as well. And actually in here, let me just pull this out. It comes with reinforcing thread. So this is it's basically for knit socks. The toes and heels, wherever you would get the most wear, is you would hold this double with your yarn to reinforce it. So each one of these has thread attached to it as well, which I am excited about. So I'm going to start these socks tomorrow, hopefully. I don't know what the colorways are. It'll really say. It just has numbers. So I got 2 of each because I don't know how much yarn they're going to take, and crochet, of course, eats up at least 1/3 more yarn than knitting. So you'll hopefully see some progress, and I won't have ripped out my sock by the next time we get together. The other thing I bought, the most beautiful hand-dyed yarn. Now I bought this in Edinburgh, but it's hand-dyed in Ireland. It's called LITLG, which stands for Life in the Long Grass Studio. It's 75/25 merino nylon. It's hand-dyed yarn. The colorway Wild Rosebud, and this one is Dreaming. And I just need you to appreciate how amazing these are together. Oh, look at this. These are definitely going to be a shawl design. What, I don't know. They're just gonna live with me for a little while because it's so beautiful. Like, I can't even bear to cake them up right now. They're just gorgeous. I love them so much. So these were kind of expensive, but worth it, right? So that's what I got at the second yarn shop in Edinburgh. And then I got one more tiny thing. I don't even remember where we got this. Somewhere on the Royal Mile. It's just a little souvenir to to hang on our Christmas tree. This is also locally made in Edinburgh. It's laser cut. We bought it at a Christmas shop, and it's like a laser cut little Scotty dog and locally made by somebody who lives in Edinburgh, and I just love it. I like to buy souvenirs that are going to be actually used. So of course, we're going to be putting up the Christmas tree sometime soon, and that is going to go right in a place of honor on the Christmas tree. And then every year, forever, when we pull out our Christmas tree, we're going to remember our amazing trip because of this beautiful little Christmas ornament. So I'm very excited about that. Let's see. What am I missing? Oh yes, I also bought these. Look at these sheep. Scottish sheep. This is a keychain, but I'm going to take it apart and make stitch markers because of course. So the last night that we had in Edinburgh, I got to do something insanely cool, which was meet up with 2 crochet podcasting friends who happened to be all in the same place at the same time. So I met with Allison of the Keep Calm and Carry Yarn podcast. She is one half of that podcast. Her mom, Vivian, is the other half. So Allison is the crocheter, Vivian is the knitter, and she lives in Edinburgh. I was there in Edinburgh on vacation, and Claudia was in the UK for Yarndale, and she, with her family, was going to Edinburgh afterwards. And it turned out that we actually were on the same, like, our trains from England to Edinburgh were like an hour apart. Like, we got there an hour before she did, which is crazy that she's from California and I'm from Florida, and Allison is from the United States but lives in Scotland, and we all got together and had dinner, and it was amazing food, and we stayed there for hours, and it was just like talking to old friends. You just pick up like you've known each other for years because we watch each other all the time and listen to each other. So it's almost like we know each other already. And of course I have met Claudia already when I went to Vegas, which was super awesome to see her again after only a couple of weeks, really. And it was just the best. I'm really sorry I couldn't make it to Yarndale. I honestly thought that Yarndale was the following weekend, like that we were gonna be in London the weekend before Yarndale, but I guess I had my dates wrong because Yarndale was the exact same weekend we were in London. So I apologize. I'm really sorry I couldn't make it to Yarndale. Hopefully someday I'll be able to go, or maybe to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Who knows? I don't know if that's possible, but at least what's more feasible is maybe someday I'll be able to make it to Rhinebeck in New York. That's a lot closer. So we just talked and had food, and it was just the most amazing time. Claudia, I love you. Allison, you're fantastic. I'm so happy I got to meet you. And now it's like, look where yarn has taken us, right? Like, who knew a year and a half ago when I was like, I don't know, should I upload my first episode, that I was gonna meet up with some of the most fabulous ladies on the planet in a different country and just have the best time. So Claudia gave me the cutest little gift when we were there. So she gave me this mustard mini skein, which this is River Knits, and I do not have any River Knits. They make the most beautiful tonal yarns, but I haven't ordered any because budget, and also because what am I trying to say? The shipping from the UK is a little pricey usually. So she gave me mini skeins. Now I have some River Knits, and then also this is like a yarn ball British flag. And then she gave me a Crochet Luna trip to the UK pin, and also a sock along pin, which is fabulous because I am in fact joining the sock along. So I love those. Thank you so much, Claudia. I will put them on my project bags now that I have shown them to the world. And she has tons and tons of pins on her Etsy shop, which you really need to go check out. I'll leave a link to it down below. She is the queen of crochet pins, okay? You need to go do it. And then the next day, we took a short little flight to Dublin. We wandered all around Dublin when we got there. Then the next day, we went on a trip we took a bus tour to the cliffs of Moher? I don't know how to say it. It was raining, so we couldn't see anything from the cliffs, but it cleared up a little bit about an hour later, so we stopped on the seaside, like at a different cliff, which wasn't so high. so that we could take some pictures. And you've got to go, if you don't watch any of the vlogs, go watch the one from Dublin. I think that would be day 7 or day 8. I took a lot of video of the countryside. It is so, so beautiful. And that was like an all day thing. We left at 7 a.m. and didn't get back till 8 p.m. But we had, the bus driver he was hysterical because he told us many things, but they were all bad. He was like an Irish Eeyore. He was the most depressed bus driver I have ever seen in my life. So he would tell us, like, when we were driving through the countryside, about the beef and dairy industry that Ireland has, and how mad cow disease like struck Ireland and like devastated the beef farmers. And he pointed out when we were near the cliffs that we shouldn't get too close to the edge because a lady threw herself off and they never found her body. And he told us all about like wars and all kinds of things. It was just hysterical. And I think that was my favorite part of the whole trip, was listening to him. He doesn't know how funny he is. And then the next day we just walked all over Dublin. We went to the Jameson factory, or to the Jameson distillery, and learned all about how they make whiskey. We tried to go to the Guinness factory, but it was closed. And then I hit up 2 yarn stores as well, and I have a little bit to show you from. This is Knit, which is a yarn store in Dublin. Now they are the yarn store that puts on or sponsors Woolen, which is the Irish festival. So let me show you this first because it's on top. I also found Irish sheep. I have Scottish sheep and Irish sheep. And then right when we were leaving, I couldn't leave these. I know that I got 2 things of Irish sheep, but these are crazy sheep. They're amazing. And I got a tea towel that has little clovers and Irish sheep on it, which I'm hoping to be able to make this into a project bag that I can use like forever. So these are just my Irish souvenirs. But the yarn, I loved This Is Knit. It was a beautiful yarn store. The people were so friendly, so helpful. They had lots of crochet, which isn't normal, you know. So I bought 2 of these. This is Mondial Cashmerette Gold in the colorway, it does not say. I'm sure it says somewhere. It's, as you can see, electric pink. I couldn't leave it. It's 10% cashmere, 70% wool, and 20% microfiber. It's so soft. This is the only yarn that I bought that I don't have a plan for. I just couldn't leave it there. And it wasn't that expensive either. And then the last ball of yarn that I bought while I was over in the UK was this Malabrigo. Now I know people are gonna be like, what'd you go all the way to the UK for to buy Malabrigo? Because it's beautiful. Look at this. This is the only one they had like this. This, I hope, will be another hat design as well. This is the colorway Anniversario. This is their DK Arroyo base, which is 100% superwash merino wool, 335 yards. It doesn't say DK, but that yardage is definitely DK. So this is amazing. And then we came home the next day. We got back at 8 p.m. Eastern time, so Florida time. And I went straight to bed. I was in bed at like 8:30. Slept until 6 maybe. I had to be at work at 7:30 the next day. So I made it through work, came home, stayed awake for the rest of the day, barely. And then I still had jet lag for like the next 3 days, but I'm over it now. It's been a week. Something was waiting for me in the mail when I got home, which I had already placed an order for, and it is this yarn. This is Sheep Happens yarn. So this is the colorway Deep End, and this is the colorway Celestial. This is her fingering weight yarn. It's her merino sock. So she does tonal yarns, and I'm super into tonal yarns recently. Like, I'm just loving like solid, semi-solid colors. It is 80% merino, 20% nylon, and you get 400 yards per 100 grams. She also tucked this in there with the order, which is some little stitch markers. This one right here, I don't know if you can, how well you can see this. This is a little ivy leaf. This is what you get if you order the Falling Ivy kit from her. And then look at this little sheep. I do love sheep. She just added these. And also, I just want to show you, this is all the care instructions and everything you would need to know about her yarn. So I love She Poppins yarn. I think it's fabulous. I love working with it. I'm very excited to do something with this. And I told you all to go support her. And I am happy to support her. I'm not going to tell you to go support anything that I am not willing to put my own money towards either. So put your money where your mouth is, right? So if I'm going to tell you guys to go support a maker, I'm going to support her as well. And I am thrilled. Leah, I love your yarn. It's amazing. I cannot wait to start using that. And then finally, I got a little package in the mail from a new viewer whose name is Marianne, and she's not even from the United States, and she kind of connected to this podcast over Tunisian crochet, and she sent me a Tunisian crochet hook, which is super sweet. This is a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. This is from Denise Interchangeable Hooks, which this is a made in the US Virginia company. And what's interesting, I read the back of this, what's interesting about this hook is that all of her products are interchangeable. So if you have Tunisian crochet hooks or knitting needles, the cord is actually the same. You can interchange them to any of them, which I thought was really interesting. I haven't used this yet because I just got it in the mail last night. And thank you so much, Marianne. That is so sweet of you. And hopefully, I need to get back to Tunisian crochet. I just need to clear out a few more of these whips that are taking over the living room. So as soon as that is done, I would really like to design a Tunisian crochet pattern. I don't know what that would look like, but I would love to. So hopefully, we'll see. I don't know. So that was a lot, right? It's been an hour almost of me talking about yarn and what I've bought, and all I can say is it was the most fabulous time. I did not want to leave and come home. I mean, I'm happy to be home. I like my home, but it was just a wonderful time, and I just feel so grateful that we had that privilege to be able to go. And I just want to say a very special thank you to all of you who have supported my last 2 patterns that I released. So you have enabled me to purchase this yarn. So I was planning to go to Loop. That is what I had budgeted for, but all of the rest of the yarn that I came home with is from you guys. So I'm overwhelmed by the support that you guys have shown my last 2 patterns. I don't know what to say other than thank you. Like I'm just blown away by that, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. You have enabled me to buy yarn and make special memories while we were over there that I would not have been able to do. And I'm gonna hopefully have some new designs coming that will be as a direct result of you guys purchasing those patterns, because like I said, like this yarn right here, all of this I would not have come home with, but I was able to because you guys supported me. So I feel really emotional about that. It's kind of like a dream come true to me, and I just want to thank you so much for your support. And I just want to have a special request to anyone who has purchased my pattern and has made it. Please make a project page on Ravelry, and that is the best way to support a designer. Once you have purchased the pattern, that's the best thing you can do, because other people, if they come in and they see that a pattern only has like 1 or a couple of projects, they don't generally, it's really easy for them to click off and not buy that pattern. Now I know some of us it doesn't matter, but for the majority of people, the more projects there are on their design pages, the better. So if you have made my Mirage hat cowl, the Falling Ivy shawl, the Key Largo wrap, my Sanibel chevron shawl, or the Treasure Island shawl, please do make a project page on Ravelry and just link it. That would help me immensely. And as an update, Bellatrix is being tested right now. I still haven't taken photos, but I have got to get around to that in the next week or 2 at the most. That pattern is still on schedule to come out on Halloween. So keep your fingers crossed for that. I'm very excited. I think I'm going to sign off here because I've just been talking and I'm very hungry. I think I'm going to eat this snack while I upload this. So I thank you so much for stopping by. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to be kept up to date on future videos from this channel, do hit the subscribe button down below. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you're working on. I'd love to know. Go to the Ravelry group and join the crochet along because there will be awesome prizes for that. And I will see you guys in just a couple of weeks. Happy crafting. Bye.